In this third part of the video, dealing with flower morphology, we'll be looking at the male reproductive floral parts, which together is called the Androeciums, and of which the main part of course, is the stamens. Now, let's first look, first have a detailed look at how a stamen develops. And of course, the uppermost part is called anther, which is usually bilobed, and there's a tissue which connects the two lobes of the anther, which is called connective, and of course that tissue is sterile, and there's a filament which is attached to the anther, and the filament connects the anther to the flower. Now, let's look at a special case which is called divergent or divaricate. Basically, what does it mean? It means a separated. We just looked at the anther lobes, and if the connective is particularly enlarged, if it's a slightly enlarged connective, naturally the lobes will be separate. So such a anther development is called divergent or divaricate anther, and the key point here is that the connective tissue, the sterile connective tissue, is bigger here. So an example is petunia. Now, another very important keyword is what is called staminodes, and staminodes denote stamens which are sterile and underdeveloped. So stamens, we know that's a key part of the male reproductive system of flowers. So if it's underdeveloped, we call it staminodes. Now we are looking at different kinds of stamens on the basis of particular features. So first we are looking at the division of stamen on the basis of the number of lobes. Beginning with Bithecus, which basically means that two lobes, so the standard two anther lobes are present. So that is what is meant by Bithecus. And the other kind is what is called Monothecous, which here the important thing is that instead of two lobes, we have only a single anther lobe. And a very famous example is the family Malvaceae. Of course, of that, the key important example is the shoe flower, which is the hibiscus, the hibiscus flower. So we are going to the second criteria on which the stamens are divided into, and this criteria is on how the stamens are developed, or how the stamens are staying with respect to the other parts of the other floral parts. So here also we have two divisions. The first one is called inserted. It basically means that you can't see the stamens from outside, and in the sense that the stamens are located quite at a lower level than the other floral parts, which means that mostly the petals cover the stamen, so it's not seen outside. The other kind is exerted, where of course it's the opposite, which basically means that the stamens come outside. So it basically means that the stamens are visible outside of the flower, in the sense that its length is quite greater than that of the height of the petals and the other floral parts. That's a key point. So inserted and asserted. So you can see the stamens from outside of the other floral parts as far as asserted is concerned, and that's a key point. Going on to another division, this is with respect to the thalamus. We know that the thalamus is the bulge portion on which the other floral parts develop. So how is the stamen, how is the development of the stamen with respect to the thalamus? That's a key point, which is the base of this particular division. And the first one is what is called Epipetallous. So what is Epipetallous? It basically means that the stamens are borne directly on the thalamus, and it is fused with the petals. So it's a very interesting development where the stamens are born in such a manner that you can't differentiate between the thalamus and the stamen. That's the point. So it develops directly on the thalamus and is fixed with the petals. Very famous examples are Solanum and Petunia. And the other kind is what is called Epitepalous or Epiphyllous. And note the point that Epipethalous is the case where petals and sepals are, you can't differentiate between them, so that's very important. So Epitepalous, and it's also called Epiphyllous. So here the stamens are fused with the tepals. That's an important point, and very famous example, a key example which is usually important as far as the examination is concerned is Asphodilus. So Epipetalous and Epitepalous. So that's the two divisions in this particular aspect. Now, what are the divisions we see in stamens based on how many stamens are there and what ways are they existing? So in the sense that are they free or fused? Are the components free or fused? That's the key point. So based on that, we have stamens which stay free, that technical term, the botanical term is polyandrous, and the stamens which stay fused, which is called Gamoandrous. Next, as far as fused stamens are concerned, that is the Gamoandrous stamens are concerned, there are very important divisions which is also of key importance as far as the NEET exam and other exams related to botany or biology is concerned. And we look at the first case, which is called the Adelphous case. Adelphous basically means that the filaments are fused. That's the important point. And Adelphous is divided into three categories, that is monoadelphous, diadelphous, and polyadelphous. First we look at monoadelphous. Of course, the word itself indicates what we are looking at. Monoadelphous basically means that the filaments are, as it's a single group. You can see that even though there are more than one anther, you can see that the whole thing is fused into a single group. But as far as diadelphous is concerned, which is the second case of Gamoandrous, the filaments are of two groups. Once again, you can see that we are having multiple anthers. And the third case, of course, is polyadelphous, which basically, from the wording itself, we can know that it means that the filaments are of multiple groups. That is more than two groups. So once again, note the point that in all these cases we have many anthers, but that's not a key point. Here we are looking at how many filaments are there, in the sense that they are fusing together to form particular groups. So polyadelphous means many groups of filaments. So examples are China rose in monoadelphous, diadelphous P, and polyadelphous citrus. Going on to another case, which is called Syngenesious. And here is a very interesting case of the anthers being fused and the filaments are free. So in the previous case, we saw that the filaments are forming into groups. It's the other way around here, in the sense that filaments are free, but the anthers are fused. And this a characteristic case is a ring-like development, which we see in the sunflower family. So that is about Syngenesious. Going on to the third important case is Synandrous, and here, interestingly, both the anthers as well as the filaments are fused. So the first case, the filaments were fused. Second case, anthers were fused. And here, both anthers and filaments, both of them are fused. And a very important case as far as the examination point of view is concerned is cucurbita. Now, another division in Anthers is dealing with how the filaments are getting fused to the anther. I mean, what is the way in which the filaments are linked to the anther? What are the ways in which we can differentiate anthers on the basis of how the filaments are fixed to the anther? And on the basis of that, the first division is what is called Baxifixed or innate. So this is a typical standard case in the sense that the filament is you can see the filament and it's fixed directly to the top of the anther. So it's a common case, nothing special about it. So you can see the filament which is directly fixed to the usual part of the anther. A very important example is mustard and radish. A second case, as far as how the filament is fixed to the anther is concerned, the second case is what is called Adnate. And here, interestingly, the filament runs throughout the length of the anther. So note the point that what it means is that the filament is forming part of the connective. So we discussed earlier that connective is the sterile tissue which connects the lobes of the anther. So here what it means is that between the lobes there is a particular tissue and the filament is running over it. That's the key point. So you can see the filament forming part of the connective, something like that. So the filament forms the connective or parts of the connective tissue. And a very important example is water lily. So going on to the third case, which is called Dorsifixed. Dorsifixed is the case in which the filament is fixed at the back of the anther. So at the back of the anther, in the sense that, so you can see that the anther is forming something like an angle with the direction of the filament. So that's a key point. So dorsifixed basically means the filament is fixed at the back of the anther. And a standard example is Passiflora. So note the way in which the filament is fixed to the anther, and you can see that a particular angle is being formed. An example is Passiflora. Going on to the fourth kind, it is called versatile. And this is a very interesting case. So here also the filament is fixed at the back of the anther, but now that development, that process has been done in such a manner that the anther is free to move about, or all the anther can swing about. Maybe when there's a wind blowing, things like that, the anther can simply sway from one side to other, something like that. So it's fixed to the back of the anther as in the previous case, but this fixing is done in such a manner, it has developed in such a manner that the anther can swing freely. So you can see that they are looking at a adaptation which could point towards a better means of pollination, something like that. So that's the case with versatile, and this is a characteristic feature of the grass family. So these are the manners in which the anthers are fixed, and this particular video we exclusively looked at the male reproductive floral part, that is the Androecium. So thanks for watching, and in this continuing video series dealing with floral morphology, where we are looking at important points dealing with the floral parts. The next video will be exclusively looking at the female reproductive floral parts, and which is together called the gynoecium. So thanks for watching. Thank you.